We're back in the woods working on a trail, and one of the things I'm going to do is start preparing some long straight sticks for a pole building. Hey, I'm Justin Hitt from Prosperity Homestead. This trail is wide enough to get a truck through. I just drove my truck through it, but I need some long straight posts. So what I'm going to do is gird some trees. Now the reason I'm girding the trees is because I want them to die standing up so they're all nice and dried out. So when I cut them down, I can then hew the bark off of them and use them for a very basic pole building. Now here's some challenges. If I gird this tree and kill it, it's gonna rot. See, this one's already kind of killed a little bit. It's gonna rot, and then when I chainsaw it, the top will fall out of it. So I don't want anything too big. But what I'm basically gonna do is take an axe and just go around the tree and peel off. I actually have a brush axe too, but just kind of peel off a section around the tree to kill this outer layer of bark. And then basically leave the tree for dead. And I can come back some other time with a chainsaw and cut the tree down. Now this one's a little thick. This one's a little thick to be using. But again, it was in the trail. You can kind of see the truck back there. It's in the trail. And so I'd like to clear it. I'm just deciding whether I want to use an axe or I want to use something else. But again, I'm looking for straight posts like this that are right on the edge of the trail. Most likely what I'm going to do is go down this trail here. This is at the very back of the property. And again, we had all this flail mowed out, and the property line is somewhere out over there. And you can see there's coppice trees, that stump with many trees coming out of it. There's coppice trees. This used to be all cleared at one time. But I'm not looking for anything thick like this. I'm looking for thin stuff that I can manage. That one's kind of thick. I'm looking for thin stuff right up against the trail, like this one right here. Okay, this one's right up on the trail. Okay, now this is a way you can get a sustainable crop of firewood. Some of these thinner sticks that are in the middle here. That double line back there is the property line. So, and a lot of times what you're going to see on your property line, let me show you the coppice here, because we want to keep getting this wood. You know, we want to be able to coppice the wood. We want to be able to cut it down and it keep growing back. But you see this right here? These long straight pieces? That's because one time this was a field and it got cut off of the ground. So the tree, when it was clear cut, the stumps remained. See how the stumps remained? And those trees grew up. So what I'm going to do near the trail, and you see my trucks out over there, is near the trail, I'm going to gird a couple trees. See, like this one right here. I'm going to gird it. Okay, I'll cut all the way around it. When it dies, then I'll cut it off of the ground. If it comes back as a small shrub, that's fine. I'll be able to get posts out of it. You can see how that one's come back. But I'll be opening up this path. One of the things about these paths and trails is that this is how we're going to get fencing back here. So I'm at the back of the property, and I'm looking down these trails. That section ahead of us is a 12-acre paddock for goats and stuff. Now, I could probably bring the truck through here, but for these trees along the edges. So again, by girding trees along the edges, and I'll give preference to upslope trees, because I want the truck to be driving upslope. I'll gird upslope trees. Some of these, like this one's too thick. This one's probably a good one right here. You can take that one out. And again, I'm just gonna chop around the tree like this and gird it. I'm gonna go all the way around the tree like that, okay? And then I'll just keep doing that same thing. These ones here, and I'm gonna need about 8 of those posts. I'm also looking to see where the water's ran across. Looking for about 8 of those posts. And once I have 8 of them, and the trail's a little wider, then I'll be able to take them down. You can see there's a big ditch in front of me here, and then the trail goes back this way. See, isn't that pretty amazing? This is probably not going to grow grass on it. I can put a temporary fence right down the middle of it. I can have goats on a 1 acre paddock, and they'll keep thinning those woods out. I can come through here time to time. Some of these trees have already been damaged. You can see that one's already damaged. Just come down and chop the branches off of it. Probably can make a post out of that one too. And then be, again, cutting firewood and cutting building materials off the outer edges. I'm going to give preference to upslope trees because I want to preserve the landscape and the water flows. I'll stay away from things like this ditch. So see this contour cut kind of stops right here because there's a ditch. And then it goes around the ditch, comes out the other side. I might clear this path through here, and put a little footbridge. But I don't need to be able to drive vehicles through here. And so down here, we actually stopped on this end because, again, it goes down slope. See, there's like a crown here. It goes down slope. My property line's further down. But it's how you work with the land. So while I'm widening these trails, I'm leaving behind these big thick trees. Look at that big thick tree. That tree's going to get more sun. It's going to get bigger. And it can come down when there's a sawmill. But little stuff like this that's not really doing anything, I might take the lower branches and cut them off when we're out here for, and use it for firewood. But as these paths get wider and I can bring a vehicle down them, then I can circumnavigate the property better in order to move water to goats, move feed to them. And of course, if you have a four-wheeler, this is super easy. But again, I'm taking out the trees that are previously damaged. This one's damaged, so it can come out. And this is what basically this is what I'm doing. Chopping around the tree. Just to break that bark layer. And then identify what trees. This helps me identify what trees are going to come down as posts later. And then I'm going to build a small shelter for goats. And by the way, the goats can do this too. But again, I don't have any goats out here. There you go. So basically, I've damaged the tree. The rest of that tree will die out. I'll cut it down, strip the bark off of it, and have a semi-dry post. Then I can carry that post off into the middle of this area. And by the way, you can see the truck over to the other side. We'll build a shelter that's centrally located in the 12-acre paddock. And then we'll run 1 acre cells off of that paddock to run goats through. The goats will do all the heavy lifting when it comes to thinning out these woods, which is going to leave behind our more choice timber, which there isn't any choice timber here, by the way. Oh, here's another one that's, I don't really like using these pines, but this one's already damaged. So again, this is some of the maintenance that you might do in the woods. And you're just simply going to go around the tree. And I'll clean that up off camera. I think you guys get the gist. So we had the forest mulcher come out and make the trails. We're going down the edges of the trails for any tree that's been damaged, that's pretty straight, and we're going to gird it. Gird it means to cut a band around the base of the tree where we strip off all the bark, which restricts the nutrients in the rest of the tree and causes the tree to dry out. Then we'll come back later with a chainsaw. We'll cut down the tree, strip all the branches off it. And of course we could do that right in these trails because there's plenty of room in these trails. Strip all the branches off of it and then stack them a little bit, let them dry out before we carry them to our location where we build a little temporary shelter. The temporary shelter is not that temporary. We're going to actually probably videotape some of it, but we're going to basically make a primitive pole building and then put like a tin roof on it, which in the short term will be a shelter for us when we're camping, but in the long term will be a shelter for goats when they're out here on this paddock. The trails give us plenty of room to get in and out, to put up temporary fencing, to confine the goats to cells of about 1 acre. And those 1 acre cells circle around our little shelter area, which then as the deer clear out, or as the goats clear out stuff, I'm already thinking about the possibility of deer hunting out here. But as the goats start clearing out the space, then we can see what we're going to do with it. I can see some mushrooms in there. I did see some deer out here earlier. I'm probably going to go put a vest on if I'm going to be out here too far. But I think you get the gist of it. The trails widen up. It makes it easier to get access to potential firewood. It makes it easier for you to get access to the land itself. Overall, it creates light corridors so that some of our larger trees can kind of grow out a bit. Maybe they're going to get harvested in 5 or 10 years. Some of this brush we'll pull out when it comes time when we're camping out here, and we'll burn that for firewood. That's why I told him he didn't have to get it super clean. He just had to get a trail. And then ultimately, I'll start inoculating mushrooms out here. And so you can see these trails go right up here again. I'll start inoculating mushrooms out here. Get the goats out here. Maybe even get some hogs out here later. But we have easy access to the animals, so we can make sure they're taken care of. They have the right amount of water, they have the right amount of feed. You can see how there's even plants growing up in these clearings. This is a young forest. This is another ditch up there, and then there's some kind of mound over here, but it goes around the waterway here and back around this other side. Hey, I'm already going to be out here with a mountain bike. We have hiking trails available if you want to do some nature hikes. I can put you in touch with folks that'll come here and walk you through the area and kind of do the nature tour. I'm Justin Hitt with Prosperity Homestead, and this has basically been how we're managing these trails. If you have questions, visit me at www.prosperityhomestead.org. Join my mailing list, ask your questions. I'm going to leave you with one more thing. Remember I talked about deer hunting. Look how the deer have knocked this tree down and started to graze on it. And again, that's what you're going to get with your goats as well. But they took an upright tree that was not getting a lot of sun. It starts to get some sun. They pulled it down and started eating the tops out of it. See, we want to take your land, put minimal input into it, and any input that we put in is going to be a sustainable input, meaning you can forest mulch this all day long. I didn't lose any carbon. Okay, and again, when we forest mulch, we only took out the small trees. And then I've got this access to use the trails to get firewood. I've got access to move animals through here. I get greater recreational value. And then from a deer hunting perspective, you can get in and out of here easy. You can get a deer, get them back and forth to the truck and the vehicles. I'm Justin Hitt with Prosperity Homestead. You want to do something like this with your land? It will boost the value of your land. It will increase the utility of that land. And you're going to get greater number of resources. And I'm kind of winded, so I'm gonna gird on my way out to the truck, get a vest on, because I'm a little confused about the amount of fire that's going off in the woods here. Anyway, Justin Hitt, Prosperity Homestead. Visit us at www.prosperityhomestead.org.